panel, Todd says, "Won't you invite me in for a nightcap event?" To which Yvette responds, "Sorry, Todd, I have a headache." Should be a rim shot at that point. Another thing I like to do occasionally is to take a purely poetic approach. I'm not sure that's the right word, it's the word that makes sense to me, and simply try to capture a mood or a moment or some kind of truth without the restriction, which is occasionally the restriction, of being funny or satirical. Some readers might think that's always my approach, but that's their opinion. So these next three strips are in that category, and they're as much to be just kind of, let them soak in and absorb them than they are to be read as that punchline. That's not really what I'm up to here. So in the first panel, this, by the way, is it's called Eternal Brooklyn, and these are street scenes in Brooklyn from an old book I have of Brooklyn photographs. The first panel is Brooklyn in the 20s, and the second two is Brooklyn in the 40s. It's actually the same street in all three pictures. Zippy faces the audience in the first panel and he says, "Time is funny." In the second panel, he's a little further back. "When was now and then?" In the last panel, he's walking away. "And who is still nowhere?" The next one is called Grand Central. And it just came to me one day after having coming back from New York, having taken the train in from Connecticut to Grand Central. So I just started doing it without really knowing where it was going. In the first panel, Zippy is kind of got a blanket around him, and he's looking out the window of the train that says "one day." In the second panel, Zippy had a non-verbal experience, and he's kind of hallucinating a character that's pretty obscure from Ernie Bushmiller's comics called Phil Fumble, who's pointing at him. And in the last panel, Phil Fumble has kind of, the implication is he flew through the window and landed behind Zippy in a kind of a cartoon crash. And the last panel says, it was round trip and off peak, and he was home. He was back home before midnight. This next one is called Cobblestoned. These are actually the lyrics to the Junior Walker 60s funk hit, Shotgun, which I Googled, and for the first time understood the lyrics. Inexplicably, Zippy is wandering the cobblestone alleyways of some sort of Eastern European city while singing "Shotgun, shoot him before he runs now." Panel 2, "Do the jerk, baby." And the last panel, "Do the jerk now." Switching gears, back to some laughs perhaps. Now these two strips are just a few of many that I've done over the years with Bob's Big Boy statues, which I'm sure you've all seen in various places around the country. I'm not sure there are any here in Baltimore, but I think they're mostly in the Midwest and the West. Readers send me photos of them all the time, so I have lots of things to draw from. To me and to Zippy, they have a tremendous presence, these things. And their grotesque cuteness can often cross the line into a chilling, ominous quality. The top strip here is called Wise Baby. One day, the big boy leaped out of the void. And Zippy looks rather frightened and he says, "Have you come to take me to the dark side, big boy?" To which big boy responds, "Not at all, Zippy. I've come to bring you a message of great joy." Zippy's a little nervous. He says, "What is your message of great joy, big boy?" Big boy, in a horrific close-up, says, "Be happy with the sandwich you ordered." In the next one, Zippy is actually singing the lyrics of an old blues song by Robert Johnson. So he approaches Big Boy, and Zippy says, "Early this morning when you knocked upon my door," and as he passes Big Boy, "Early this morning, when you knocked upon my door," and as he passes Big Boy, "I said, 'Hello, Satan. I believe it's time to go.'" This last Big Boy strip was apparently a bit too much. boy the way I do. This is a real letter from the Big Boy Legal Department, which I received, let's see, in March of this year. By the way, the address on top reads 1 Big Boy Drive, March. I only hope someday to have 1 Zippy Lane. I get an occasional cease and desist letter like this, but this one has a particularly wacky edge to it. I'll just read a little bit of it. Dear Mr. Griffith, it has come to the attention, by the way, this happened just after the Satan strip. It has come to the attention of Big Boy Restaurants International, LLC. You are displaying a Big Boy statue in your diner located in Cottonwood, Arizona. The display infringes upon the registered Big Boy trademark, logo, and related indices belonging to yada yada. Please be advised that Big Boy is the sole owner of the Big Boy trademark, and that only we or our licensees are authorized to market, sell, or otherwise utilize the Big Boy logo and trademark. Your use of the Big Boy character, yada yada yada, encroaches upon our yada yada, threatens irreparable damage, diminution of value of the trademarks, falsely represents to the public that you are appropriately authorized to use, yada yada yada. Accordingly, cease and desist your use of the Big Boy trademark and statue, and provide us with written confirmation of compliance with the demands within 10 days of this letter. Somewhere in Cottonwood, Arizona, the diner owner is scratching his head because apparently they've sent me his letter. I have yet to hear from them again. I turned this over to the King Features lawyers, and they had a very good laugh, and they said the response will probably be silence because they'll be so embarrassed they sent you the wrong letter. My usual policy, however, in these matters is just to lay low for a few months, and then when they think I've stopped, I resume exercising my First Amendment right of free speech. Just a little aside, the only other two really persistent cease and desist letters, I've yet to know if this is a persistent one, but the other persistent ones I got were from Hello Kitty, the Sanrio Corporation. Once again, I laid low for a few months and then started using Hello Kitty again and have for years with no further letters. And the other was very odd. It was from the Necco Candy Company, which stands for New England Confectionery and Candy Company, something like that. And they said Necco is a trademarked word and you cannot use it without putting a TM next to it and explaining what it is. I had Zippy working on an assembly line in the Necco factory. So, we'll see what happens with Big Boy. In order to aid the perplexed among my readers, whom I do feel I owe an explanation in print occasionally, I occasionally do a few strips in the How to Understand Zippy mode. By the way, there's an entire tongue-in-cheek but serious series of these strips called How to Understand Zippy up on the Zippy website, zippythepinhead.com, if you want to check that out. Quite a few people have actually wrote to me and said it helped. Others said it just made them angrier. Here's a series where Zippy does a spandex superhero, he dons a spandex superhero suit to try to explain himself. First one is called Z-Man. Sit here. Zippy's superpowers blow away the superpowers of every other superhero who ever roamed the galaxy. And the second panel, Zippy, Z-Man is speaking. I have the incredible super ability to juxtapose seemingly unrelated concepts and phenomena to forge entirely new paradigms. Go on, ask me about bowling and laundry. The last panel is flying over the city skyline. And to protect the equilibrium of the billions who will never understand my mission, I pledge to appear comprehensible to only a select group of sophisticated, enlightened individuals. The next one is called Interaction Comics. This is a three-part series. Z-Man comes to the aid of an unfortunate citizen, hopelessly addicted to linear thinking.